Hey squad, welcome back. In my last video, I showed you how you can mix and tailor the sound of your Logic Pro drummer tracks using the superb effects plugins that come as stock right here in Logic Pro. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can do the very same thing in tailoring the tone of your electric bass so it fits just right in your mix. Once again, using stock Logic plugins. So let's dive in. Okay, so here's our starting point. We're just going to have our drums, percussion, and the dry, unprocessed bass line playing back for now so you can hear the original tone. Now the recording is pretty decent. Of course, you've got to make sure that the tone you're generating from your bass sounds decent in the first place, but this can be enhanced further by the plugins that we're going to use right here. Now I've covered much of this in a previous video. Make sure you check this one out. Definitely holds a lot of information on how you can tailor your bass sound, and it's well worth the watch. But for today, what we're going to do is start by going to the Logic library, pressing letter Y on your keyboard to open up the library. And over here, we're going to go for some presets. Let's choose electric guitar and bass. Then we're going to go for clean bass. And right here, we've got a whole range of bass presets that you can slap straight onto your bass. So let's select 60s combo to start with. As you can see, the bass channel strip has changed with all of the plugins to tailor the sound to the 60s combo preset. We've got a noise gate here, clip distortion, our bass amp, the channel EQ, and a compressor. So let's have a quick listen. And what we're going to use is the key command Shift B to mute and unmute all the plugins as we go along. So let's start with the dry signal, and then we'll bring in the effects and then switch them off. So what you'll do is listen to your bass line and hear how it sits with the drums and with the other instruments, which we're going to bring in a minute. And then you work your way through until you hear the tone that has the best fit for your mix, and then start there. So rather than going through all of these, I know that Big Stack was the one that really worked for me, and I've got it just here. So let's switch from this original bass here, switch that off and switch this one on. And then I'll work my way through and tell you what I've got on the actual channel strip. Let's do an A, B again here, Shift B. Lovely. So you can hear the tonal change that we're achieving with what's here on our channel strip. But one thing I need to point out is some of these plugins are additional effects that I've added on top. If we hop back to our original bass up here, this time I'm going to choose Big Stack. The preset for Big Stack is noise gate, clip distortion, bass amp, and channel EQ. That was my starting point, but I've got these others, and I'm going to quickly dive in and show you what additional things are going on here to tailor the sound to suit my needs. Great. Now, just reminding you, if you are finding value in my videos, remember to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so using the links above and in the description. All right, let's press on. The noise gate is a very useful plugin for eliminating noise in the gaps between your bass notes. Make sure you check out this video that I've got on my channel. In fact, it's the most popular video on my channel that deals with eliminating and reducing noise in your mixes, and I cover noise gates there. Secondly, we've got the clip distortion, which we're not using much at the moment, but when employed, you can add some really cool harmonic distortion to help bring out some of the colors that will give your electric bass a bit more detail in the mix. The other thing, of course, is the fantastic Logic Bass Amp Designer. Once again, I covered this in this video right here. Definitely check it out. But you've got so much control in this single unit alone. You can customize this to your heart's content. Just looking at the amp itself, you've got a graphic EQ here. You've got all of these controls here in terms of altering the sound. There's a compressor as well right there. You can also switch between different types of amps. You can go for a modern amp, or you can go for a flip-top amp like so. Again, they're going to give you different colors and a different tone to your bass. Also over here, your bass cabinet, the speakers, you can switch between a 15-inch speaker box, or you can go for this massive speaker box with 10-inch speakers. You can decide the balance of the bass tone, whether you want it fully going to the DI box or fully going to the amp. You can switch on the DI box right here and mess with the tone here, switch back to the amp if you wanted to mess with the amp, and then of course use the slider for your blend. Over here, of course, you can choose between different microphones. You've got your Neumann U87 clone right here. You've got the classic EV dynamic right here. And of course, a Sennheiser 421, which you can choose from. I'm going to switch to the U87 and then come in here. And then when I slide up here, I can reposition the microphone so it's either further away from the cabinet or close, or slide it to the side so it's off center, off axis. I'm going to leave it directly in the center. And right at the end here, you can adjust the gain. What I'm also going to do is come back up here and I'm going to go for a modern amp. Let's have a quick listen. Switch to a classic amp. I actually prefer the color of this one. Let's quickly switch the microphone as well. Let's have a listen. As I pull the microphone further back, I'm getting more detail using this particular microphone and in this position. Again, this is really quick and dirty just to give you an idea as to what's possible. You can switch between these tonal switches here and keep going until you get the sound that you're looking for. This is just a quick overview. So that's the bass amp. The channel EQ, we can keep it as it is or we can bypass it. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to keep it in as it is for now. Open up the tape delay. You switch off tempo sync. Pull the delay time all the way to 0. Set all of these to 0. We just want to use the tape saturation character that exists right here in Logic Pro. I'm going to filter up to about 100 hertz. I don't want to muddy things too much below 100 hertz. Maybe I'll go a little higher, maybe there. Pull the feedback all the way down. You don't want any feedback. The dry signal all the way up, wet signal all the way down. And then you pull the clip threshold down. I generally start from about here. Then as we're listening, we ease the wet signal in. So I'm going to leave it there for tape saturation. Next thing we're going to do is come down to the tube EQ, the vintage EQ collection. This time I've gone for the vintage tube EQ. This one is modeled on the classic Pultec EQP 1A. And you've got it right here in Logic in all its glory. What I'm starting with is the preset old school bass. And I really haven't done anything with the settings right here. Use this to apply the tonal colors you're looking for to add that richness to your bass sound. And the last one in the lineup is my compressor. Check out my video on Logic's vintage compressor circuits. You've got all of these circuit options right here, which I go into far more detail in that video. But for this one, we're going to be using this preset right here on the compressor by type, and we're going for the FET electric bass. I've got hard distortion switched on and I've adjusted my threshold and the ratio to suit the material that's passing through this compressor. Let's do an A/B right here. Now, when the compressor is switched in, you're getting a far more even tone across the entire bass recording. Now, finally, what I'm going to do is bring in my clip distortion plugin right here. And we're just going to put up this preset right here, warm clip distortion. Now, the idea is to add additional harmonics that will allow your bass guitar and bass tone to cut through the mix, especially if your song is being played on speakers that don't produce much in the way of low end. So, for example, on mobile phone speakers, they're not really designed for generating low frequencies. So by sensibly adding a certain amount of harmonic distortion into your mix, it will allow for the bass line to cut through not so much the low frequencies, but the bass line itself will be heard a lot better in that sort of setting. So I'm going to pull the gain all the way back to 0 dB. And I'm going to ease this in until I hear the amount of tonal change that I'm looking for. So let's have a quick listen. Again, the whole point of this is to show you what's possible. Sometimes it will work for you, sometimes it won't. By knowing these tools are available to you, you can add them to the correct measure that works for your track. So make sure you check out my other videos on how I tailor and mix my electric bass tones, and I'll be uploading this Logic project so you can download it, try it out, and I'm going to do yet another follow-up video on how I mixed my guitars. As you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guitar parts playing all at the same time, and I'm going to show you as well how I've used stock Logic plugins to create the guitar sound. So until next time, stay tuned. Remember to give this one a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel and check out the links to the other videos I've mentioned in this one. Until next time, I'm Deuce. I'm out. Peace.